For 3 hours, 4-month-old Willow, Kubai, was left alone with her father. But by the time her mother got home from work, the baby suffered catastrophic injuries. Her 22-year-old father, Jacob Kubai, would try to sell a story about a tragic accident, claiming he found his daughter unresponsive and had no idea what happened. But as investigators in Polk County, Florida, started digging into those 3 hours, his story began to fray like a cheap rope. It was a calculated tale that would unravel piece by piece, exposing a monstrous act hidden behind a pathetic wall of lies. The nightmare kicked off on the evening of February 22nd of 2024 with a frantic drive to Bartow Regional Medical Center. Jacob Kubai rushed in with his 4-month-old daughter, Willow, who was limp and completely unresponsive. For the medical staff, it was like an alarm bell they couldn't unring. The baby was in cardiac arrest and showing no signs of brain activity. Her consciousness was like a television that had been abruptly unplugged. It wasn't just her critical condition that raised red flags, it was the suspicious physical injuries that didn't fit any story of a simple accident. Doctors and nurses fought to stabilize the tiny infant, but her injuries were overwhelming. As they prepped her for an emergency flight to the pediatric ICU at St. Joseph's Hospital in Tampa, the first questions were aimed at her father. He was the only one who had been with her. He was the only one with answers. In his story, it was the first brick in a fortress of deception laid in a desperate race against the clock, not just the one ticking on Willow's life, but on a killer's timeline of lies. Just hours earlier, the day had been painfully normal for Willow's mother, Rebecca. Around 5 p.m., Jacob had dropped her off for her shift at the Texas Cattle Company. She was a dedicated mother, reportedly working 2 jobs to support her family. As she left her husband and baby, she had no reason to think anything was wrong. Willow, who the family called Strawberry, was perfectly fine, a happy, healthy baby with no bruises or signs of distress. Rebecca went to work believing her daughter was in the safest hands possible, her father. The trust was a flawless mirror and was about to be shattered in an instant. While Rebecca was serving customers, completely oblivious to the horror unfolding back at home, the man she entrusted with their child was, in the words of Polk County Sheriff Grady Judd, becoming a monster. The house that should have been in a safe haven became a scene of unimaginable violence. For Rebecca, the call from the hospital was the end of her world and the start of a nightmare she could never wake up from. When detectives first questioned him, Jacob Kubai laid out a story that was as detailed as it was false. He claimed that after dropping Rebecca off, he and Willow went back to their Bartow home. He started making dinner, he said, but realized he was missing chicken broth. According to his timeline, between 6:40 p.m. and 7:50 p.m., he took Willow with him to a local Walmart to grab it. After getting home, he told investigators he fed Willow at 7:50 p.m. and put her down to sleep. Then he started playing video games. He claimed he was diligent, checking on her every 10 minutes. He said he looked at her at 8 p.m. and she was fine. But on his next check at 8:10 p.m., he allegedly found her unresponsive. Panicked, he told detectives he performed CPR before rushing her to the hospital. On the surface, his story was like a carefully rehearsed script, that of a worried father caught in a sudden tragedy. He and his wife were interviewed separately, and both insisted they had no clue how Willow could have been hurt. But Kubai's story, so precise with its times, had a fatal flaw. It was a story detectives could actually check. Before we get into how investigators blew this story wide open, take a moment to subscribe. We're dedicated to bringing you these detailed, respectfully analysis of complex cases, always focusing on the facts and the search for justice. Your support helped continue my work. The first lie to unravel was Jacob's alibi. It was like a loose thread on a sweater. Once detectives pulled it, the entire fabrication came apart. Homicide detectives from the Polk County Sheriff's Office and the Bartow Police Department went to corroborate his timeline. Their first stop? Walmart. They pulled the surveillance footage from the exact time Kubai claimed he was shopping with his daughter. The video was crystal clear. At 6:54, Jacob Kubai was at the self-checkout, just like he said, but he was alone. No baby in his cart, no infant carrier in sight. Willow had never been at the store. She'd been left at home. When detectives confronted Kubai with this undeniable proof, he shut down and refused to give any more information. His story had crumbled under the first bit of pressure. The lie about Walmart wasn't just about a shopping trip. It was a calculated attempt to create a fake public moment where his daughter was supposedly fine. It was an anchor designed to weigh down the timeline and confuse investigators. Now they knew he was hiding something. The question was no longer if something happened while Willow was in his care, but what exactly he had done. While Jacob Kubai was staying silent, Willow's tiny body was telling its own story. She tragically passed away on February 24th, 2 days after she was hospitalized. An autopsy was performed on February 27th. The findings were horrific, and they served as a confession written in flesh and bone. The cause of death was blunt force trauma to the head, and the manner of death was ruled a homicide. The list of injuries was sickening. Willow had suffered an acute skull fracture, multiple layers of hemorrhaging in her brain, and a swollen, hemorrhaged spine. There were also bruises on her forehead from at least 10 separate blows. But the horror didn't stop there. The autopsy uncovered at least 10 rib fractures in different stages of healing, like growth rings on a tree. They marked a history of abuse. This wasn't a sudden storm. It was a catastrophic peak of a hurricane of violence. Sheriff Grady Judd said the injuries were so severe, they left no doubt how she was killed. The story of a sudden accident was a cruel fiction, designed to hide a pattern of escalating violence that ended in murder.
So, the night or the day that he found Strawberry unresponsive on the floor, you guys took her to work, and she said that Strawberry is fine. You said Strawberry was fine, right?
I mean, as far as I'm aware, again, I was telling you, I prefer not to talk about the entire day.
I'm not asking for times or anything. I'm just saying, when you guys dropped her off at work, you both said she was fine. I'm just repeating what you guys said in your interview. If I'm wrong, correct me. But
I mean, I'm sticking with what I said in the interview.
okay, that's what she said in the interview. I'm not trying to trick you. I'm not trying to trick you at all.
No, I know. It's just, in my personal view of it, I'm not going to change my answer just because.
Oh, I don't want you to change your answer.
Of that, you know. Yeah. So, what I really want to do is, if you got any questions, if there's anything about that day, just for reconsideration.
Sure. So, Detective Scheidegg can go over with you what was found at autopsy.
All right. So, during the autopsy, there was upwards of like 10 fractured ribs in the healing stages.
Jesus.
Her spine was hemorrhaged and swollen. You understand what that means?
Kind of.
What does that mean to you?
The spine... Actually, no, that kind of don't make sense because spine's a bone, but if you could explain.
It means like somebody grabbed her and squeezed her. She then had what were described as 10 blunt force strikes throughout her head.
The front of her head.
The front of her head.
Her forehead.
So like right here where I'm going with my pen. Okay? There was then, remember how in the hospital they were saying there's a fracture to the top of her skull? That was incorrect. It was in the back of her skull. Like someone had taken her and gone like this on the table. And what the medical examiner told us is that injury would render her unconscious fairly quickly. Like, not like it happened in Georgia, not like it happened 2 weeks ago, like it happened in your care.
Right.
So, our question is, did an unintentional action happen? Were you holding her, or feeding her, and she accidentally hit something? Did you trip? Like, what caused that injury to her? I'm not saying that you intentionally did anything to her, okay? But if it was an accident and unintentional, then we need to address that. We need to discuss it. Because right now, we don't have any answers, and we know that it's not a medical issue, that she was injured. And we know that the injury occurred while she was in your care. We also know that when you went to Walmart that night, you did not take her with you, even though you said you did.
It didn't.
No.
You pulled video surveillance.
Kind of figured we asked about dates and stuff.
She's not with you. So where was she?
You know what?
And where was she all the other times you went to Walmart and you didn't right there? Because it was at work. Because we pulled all those video surveillances too. So we need to know what's going on, Jacob. Did something unintentionally happen to Strawberry that night? If it did.
All right. Okay. I'm still sticking to what I said. Okay? And personally, I would like to go ahead and get it.
It's probably a good
If we'll
idea.
go ahead, because I'm genuinely scared.
You can keep it there.
Can I say one more time? I can't talk to you anymore. You requested a lawyer. If you'd like to talk to me, you'd have to ask me to continue to talk to you.
Okay.
If that's something that you'd like, you literally have to ask me to continue to talk to you.
Okay.
Hey, Jacob. Do me a favor and stand up, order. Does my chest right back? Put them together like a print.
And you're under arrest for what you did to that baby.
All right, Jacob. To my understanding that you requested to speak to me. Okay. No one has forced you, or made you come in here to talk to me. You're here in your own free will at your own request, correct?
Yep.
Okay.
Jacob agrees to talk, but this time sings a starkly different tune.
We're all ears, Jacob. Go ahead.
Well, I was kind of sitting there, and I just kind of hit.
Kind of a little internal conflict in this sense. Part of me is like, this is
I'm sure it's been horrible.
one thing I don't tell people, and I haven't even told people, is I did tell people. When I was younger, I used to hear noises and stuff like that. When I was a kid, I thought that was just imaginary stuff. There was one night, it happened after my dad died and everything. I was laying in bed. I couldn't tell you the time, but it was dark out. This is all the way back in California. I used to live. I can tell you an age, but my guess, I think I was 16 and a half. That night, I was trying to fall asleep. And that was the first time I heard a voice. It was a female voice. I'd say a rough range of between my age to early 20s. At first I couldn't hear it, and ever since I've been obsessed with horror stuff, I've been somewhat scared of the dark and all of that. And one of the things I feared, I had a lot of fears, was sleep paralysis.
Sleep paralysis?
Yes. Or something like that. And so I kind of brushed this off as sleep paralysis. At first I couldn't hear the voice.
You brush what off?
The whole experience I'm about to say now.
Oh, okay.
Because I thought, again, over-imaginative mind, with the fact that it could just be sleep paralysis. I heard the voice, and it was whispering. I can tell what it was saying. At first. And then it was getting louder and louder. And it was telling me to go ahead and kill my brother and kill my mom. Straight up. Now I don't know what that voice was. Like I couldn't recognize it. It's not from someone that I've talked to.
How often do you hear these voices? Like once a month?
I couldn't take it.
Twice a year?
I wish I could.
Sometimes not at all in a year?
I know it's free. I can play it.
Frequent? At least every month?
Again, I can pinpoint, but I know that it's enough that I can notice. You know, if I would assume if it was happening 2 times a year, I wouldn't really at 9. I would think that's not thinking.
Okay.
And being so used to it, I can ignore that, some in a sense. But I guess look at modality. If that makes sense, I don't know if it does.
I don't know if anything makes sense, but I just, ever since that night, I mean, just everything.
It's a lot to deal with on your own and not be able to discuss it with anybody.
It more feels like in a sense it's real. And flat out, I think everything after that day, it's not real. Because shortly afterwards, I get told to move to Florida with my family. And then, you know, just life continues. I wondered why I had such bad memory issues, because I never had any showing in high school. But after everything in Florida and all of that, it was getting worse and worse.
When you moved to Florida, it started getting worse and worse?
Yes.
With your mom and your brother?
Really, before then, like I said. After that, it was slowly deteriorating. And it's gotten to the point where I'll be in the conversation and forget what I wanted to say. I get the idea that you want to say a point, sometimes you forget that point.
Mm-hmm.
But it's getting to that point where it's mid-conversation. And I thought I had something just, you know, mentally wrong in the sense of memory. I was getting more and more concerned because, yes, there's a lot of things people relate to with like, oh, I forget, I walk into a room and I forget. There's moments where I'll get up from the bed that I'm lying from because I had to go do something, whatever it was, I'll forget that. It's like a request I'm giving my life, and I have to ask again and again and again. So there's not a big part of me that just doesn't think any of this is real. That I never moved.
It's real. That's your 4-month-old daughter. Right there. It's real.
I wouldn't do something like that. I know
Those
myself
bruises don't just show up overnight. Those bruises, they don't just show up overnight. A skull fracture doesn't just show up overnight. Something is done to make those things happen.
But that's how injuries go.
What happened when I shook her?
I
Did
don't know.
did the voices tell you something?
Not that I know, because all I do know is what I've told you.
Then why did you want to come back in here and talk?
A realization of sorts.
You what?
A realization of sorts. That I don't think any of this is real.
It's real. Okay? It's real. And Strawberry, according to the medical examiner's office, was hurt in your care, and she went unresponsive, brain dead, and she died. It's real.
And I would like to go ahead and believe you, but as I've stated, I think from that point onward, from that night, I don't believe any of this is real. I don't believe I'm married. I don't believe that.
You don't believe you're married?
I don't believe I'm married. I don't believe I ever had my first job. I don't believe I have a car. I don't believe any.
Why do you
of
feel
this.
like that all of a sudden? After this incident this night, why all of a sudden do you feel all those things?
You know how you're saying that I don't get time to myself?
Yeah.
Or how I said that, whatever it is, right? The point is, I don't get time myself to think. Not in my sleep, not any time, basically. I'm sitting here wondering how I'm here.
Well, because Strawberry's dead. That's why. And she died in your care. That's why you're here. Okay?
In this, whatever this is.
And it's real.
I don't.
Have you ever seen a doctor for this before? You're hearing voices?
No, I have not.
Did you tell the doctor up in Georgia that you were hearing voices?
No.
Have you ever told it to anybody other than the two of us sitting in front of you right now?
Possibly my wife that I heard had an experience like I was talking about that day. And I believe I mentioned
What day? That day?
No.
What day are you talking about?
The day when I did hear that voice. That first instance.
Was that when you were in California or when you were
Correct.
here?
In California.
Oh, so you told about that
Later on
later in past tense. Okay.
in our relationship.
Gotcha.
Yes.
Okay. But you never sought help for any of it?
No, because again, part of me wants to go ahead and ignore that.
So do you think that something happened to Strawberry and you blocked it out? Because you don't want to think that it happened? Is that what you're trying to say?
If you're asking me personally,
Yeah, what do you think? I want to know what you think. Like, why do you think that you don't remember what happened? And then now it's not all real?
I knew myself back in high school. Okay? It's funny that I still have those traits as from high school, as if nothing's changed. I think it's a coincidence. That's not a coincidence. I also think there's a lot of representation in this whole dream/scenario of how the self-hatred of myself and the depression and everything else. And giving reasons to go ahead and hate myself. Because nothing makes sense. Why the hell am I staying with someone that would go and abuse me constantly? In our beginning of our relationship, we did not start off the best, right? Almost straight away, she finds out about me. And I went ahead and promised her I'd go ahead and change. And I did, but it wasn't permanent, unfortunately. And just everything that's happened since that specific day when I first heard the incidents just doesn't. And I guess there's a part of me that doesn't want to accept that.
Jacob, I think you're full of it. I think you did something to this baby, and now you're trying to make up excuses as to why you don't remember.
Was your daughter real?
As I told you, I don't think maybe on Florida is real. I can list what I think is not. I don't think that.
Jacob, look at this picture.
No, I don't think she's real.
This is your daughter that you had with your wife, that you legally married.
That you've been taking care of the past 4 months.
While your wife went to work.
That you were
jobs.
That you were able to tell us about in depth at St. Joseph's Hospital. But now, because we're telling you you're going to jail, now you want to say that you don't remember anything and that this is all not real and that you hear voices. I don't buy it. I don't buy it, Jacob. I think you're looking for an excuse and you're looking for a way out, and you're not taking accountability for what you did to your daughter. That's what's so sad about it, is that you're not taking accountability for your actions. This little girl depended on you. She needed you. She can't take care of herself. She can't feed herself. She can't change herself. She needed you. She can't walk. She can't talk. She can't crawl. And you weren't there for her. You did something to her. You got pissed. You got tired. Whatever. She did something that upset you, and you lost your temper. And you hit her head on something, and she went unresponsive. And then she died. And you're not man enough to take responsibility for that. Now you want to say that this is all real, it's a dream, and you hear voices? I don't buy it. At all. At all.
That's fine.
Go ahead and put him in handcuffs. Go back to the police cell.
Stand up now. Let me go.
On March 5th of 2024, Jacob Kubai was arrested and charged with his daughter's murder. In custody, his behavior got even more bizarre. Faced with irrefutable medical evidence, his whole act seemed to fall apart. He made the chilling claim that none of it was real, that his wife and baby weren't real people. During his interrogation, he showed what Sheriff Judd described as zero remorse. He shed not one tear for the child he had viciously murdered. Later, he would claim he was hearing voices, but investigators saw it was as nothing more than a desperate last-ditch Hail Mary to dodge responsibility. Sheriff Judd didn't mince words at the press conference announcing the arrest. Holding up a photo of Kubai, he said, I want to introduce you to a murderer who viciously murdered his beautiful 4-month-old baby girl. He spoke with absolute certainty, stating the baby was literally beaten to death, and the only person that was home with the baby at the time was Jacob. Judd's voice what so many were feeling. I don't know how a father could do this to his child, but I do know he should be locked up for as long as the law allows. The legal process moved forward, though no trial could ever truly answer the question of why. Jacob Kubai was initially charged with aggravated manslaughter of a child and aggravated child abuse. In the face of overwhelming evidence, the collapsed alibi, the damning autopsy, and his own bizarre behavior, he chose to avoid trial. Folding his hands rather than playing out a losing game, Kubai, then 23, accepted a plea deal. He pled guilty to aggravated manslaughter of a child, and in exchange, the other charges were dropped. In May of 2025, a judge sentenced Jacob Kubai to 30 years in state prison. The legal system provided a resolution, but the questions of motive and the signs of prior abuse leave a lingering sense of unease. What are your thoughts on this case? Share them respectfully in the comments below. In just 3 hours, a father's sacred duty to protect was twisted into a fatal betrayal. Jacob Kubai was the shepherd tasked with guarding the lamb, but instead, he became the wolf. He built a story of errands and accidents, but the real truth was written in the bruises and broken bones of his daughter, Willow. The diligent work of investigators exposed his lies, and the science of forensics told the story he wouldn't. Why a 30-year sentence offers a measure of justice? It brings little comfort for the loss of a baby girl named Strawberry, whose life was over before it had barely begun. The case of Willow Kubai is a heartbreaking reminder that the most dangerous monsters are sometimes the people who are supposed to be our protectors, living inside the very walls that should be home.